The guy being Gary Ward, who's been he's been on this show enough that maybe he should be sitting in here doing it himself. But I wanted to get on because, well, for a number of reasons. Number one, I told you, watching MLB and watching all this stuff going on, the new stuff that they got in there, I kept thinking, what would Gary say about this? What would he say about the guy at second base? What would he say about designated hitters and 7 inning games? So I thought, what the hell? I'll just call Gary and ask him. And so I'm going to ask you, what do you think of this stuff in the MLB now?
Well, I'm happy to figure out a way to get on the yard and play. I think it's a lot like colleges, Tom. We're looking at a huge financial loss. We've gone for centuries building something, not centuries, decades building a product and promoting it, and then all of a sudden the key ingredient is missing in the spectator, and you wonder if it's worth all the effort. And I talked to a lot of baseball people this summer. A lot of my former guys. Some of them working pro ball. Some of them trying to coach college. A ton of them out there. I don't know, 50, 60, 70 guys still intricately involved with coaching baseball as their livelihood. And it is a chaotic situation for everybody. It seems to be fluid and capable of change on a daily basis. I'm pleased that they got it back going. But financial thing, people don't. Well, they say, well, they're going to get the television money. Well, that's the big money. I don't know. The Yankee contract I saw last 5 or 6 years ago was for $50 million just for cable rights to the Yankees, the Yes Network or whatever.
That is correct. Yes.
And so to get television back and have control, they're going to make some money. But you got to remember the $10 beers and the $40 parking and the $120 tickets that they're giving up, because a major league event at St. Louis on a given night for 40,000 people, is a $1 million event, and there's 81 of those, and all of a sudden there's 21 of them or something, and it's just really going to be difficult. I don't think we know what's going to happen to contracts. The fallout I think is going to be really seen in minor league baseball. I think there's going to be a lot of minor league pieces left behind to work their own magic as independents. Major League's going to shuck an awful lot of that expense for the developmental program that probably should have done 20 years ago. And so I just watch it day to day. I got to do my farming most of the day, but 2 or 3 hours a day, you have time to check in with some of the guys and to get baseball back and watch it without fans is a lot like watching baseball when I was a junior college coach. There's 2 teams there, umpires and a couple of wives and maybe 8 or 10 parents, and everything that's said in the stadium can be heard. And it's a surreal situation to watch. I'm happy they're doing it. Hopefully we'll get to a playoff and have a good October playoff and kind of rekindle an interest in baseball. But there will be a long-term, maybe multi-year impact of this will yet to be determined. And the big question comes in January and February when we get, or actually in December, when we start looking at the scouting, the personnel, the front office, the size of the organization, who's going to get cut. If American Airlines is going to drop 16,000 employees in November, how many employees out there in professional baseball are going to be dropped? How many fewer opportunities for kids to have a chance to play through a minor league system are going to be reduced? And I think the sport's going to take a big hit, I think.
Let's look at some of the individual things, and it shows you how, despite the fact that the years go by, some things never change. The 7-inning doubleheaders, just starting there. Goodness knows you and Holiday were used to 7-inning doubleheaders when you first came on board here at Oklahoma State. That was the big 8 way of doing things.
Yeah, well, my opinion about 7-inning games, you played a lot of them in junior college because it reduces travel. You get more games in with less overnights. You can't afford the hotel, motel, the meals on the road, so you got used to it. It doesn't mean you like it. The game is predicated on 9 innings, and a 7 inning game is an abortion of the real game itself. It's not a true a roster of 25 people, whether it's college or pro. It's built to utilize 20 or so of those people every game to be able to make moves and not only on the mound but in personnel and pinch hitting and etc. And when you get to a 7 inning game, boy, there's a sense of urgency in the first or second inning. If you give up a 2 or 3 spot, you're not sure you're going to be able to get the starter out. And we're a pitch count guy, we're a disciplined hitting guy. That's lost in today's professional baseball. Every guy's out there on his own, taking his hacks, cripple shooting the first pitch, trying to get his numbers so he can negotiate his contract. When you take the 9er to 7, you reduce the opportunity to really work offensively, and it creates a sense of urgency. So we're seeing extraordinarily aggressive hitters come to the plate early in the game, have been for years, but the 7 inning doubleheaders even increased that. This is indicated, Tom, by how many lineups have Aaron Judge in the 2-hole or Luke Voigt leading off. This is a 7 inning game deal. We've got to get our best 2 or 3 hitters. We've got to get Seager and Bellinger and Mookie Betts to the plate in a 7 inning game for the 4th time if we can. So I think the entire strategy of the game changes. And then we're dealing with a 40-man active roster, 60-man roster on the taxi squad, and we're dealing with 27, 28 guys on the bench. We got 14 pitchers in uniform, and we're running through these guys like they're recyclable people. And so the game's changed. It's still baseball. There's a lot of changes that have occurred in the last 20 years regarding personnel, scouting, international baseball players becoming more predominant. But the game itself is almost unrecognizable from the standpoint of disciplined hitters, on-base counts, getting starters out of the game, getting to the bullpen, trying to really emphasize the scoring opportunities in the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings is where you win a lot of baseball games at the 9 inning level and at the college level. At the pro level, now we got 12 and 14-man staffs, and we're going to what we call bullpen games about every 3rd or 4th game, where we're looking like spring training. We got 5 pitchers figured we're going to go out and throw 5 or 6 guys, and that's tough. It's tough on a hitter not to get to see a pitcher the 2nd and 3rd time. Particularly, we have interleague play, Tom. Now we're playing fewer people head to head. I liked it when the Dodgers and Cardinals played 21 times. I didn't like the Dodgers, but I liked the idea that a league, a national league of 8 teams, had to win against everybody. Now you got interleague play. We've got St. Louis playing Kansas City and Florida playing Seattle, and we don't get to see those people enough. I know we have such great film and available information that scouting reports are 10 times as good as they used to be. But until you've seen the guy live at the plate and you've seen his sequence and you've got an idea of what his command pitch is and what he's got to throw in given situations, that happens in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at-bats. And baseball has tried to eliminate that, and we've gone to just total aggression, get the home run score early. Therefore, strikeouts are breaking records, home runs are breaking records, and the games are still too long.
Where do you stand on things like starting a runner at second base in extra innings? The DH now becomes both leagues, and of course the pitching situation where you have to face 3 batters. Where do you stand on those 3 items?
Well, the DH is something to sell tickets. If I can keep Musill and Yastrzemski and Pete Rose around 2 or 3 more years, we've got a lot of fan attachment to those people, and if we can move them to a DH role and keep them in the game a little bit longer, then that's not about baseball. That's about creating revenue. That's about brand name and brand people. And so they sell another 3,000 jerseys out of concession stand every game because Musial had a home run as a DH. Well, he didn't play at that era, but that's the concept. That's an entertainment deal. The other questions were specifically regarding what?
The starting a man at second base in the extra innings to create an instant rally, and of course, as we're seeing now, where a pitcher has to face a minimum of 3 batters. A relief pitcher, that is, yeah.
Yeah. Again, these are entertainment values. The 3 batters deal is to shorten the game. It has nothing to do with the strategy. It takes away from the strategy. It eliminates that. And that's just there because we want to try to shorten the game by 15 minutes. And almost everything that we're talking about is entertainment. And we won't look at the fact that now we have 2.5 minutes between innings for advertisement. In the old days you had 1.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than, 17 minutes, we got 30 minutes of advertisement. And then every time somebody goes to the mound or they make a pitching change, you've got a split screen with an advertisement on it. So almost all those changes are commercial and entertainment related, and everything about speeding the guy up on the mound and throwing pitches faster and keeping a pitcher in the game for 3 hitters, all those things, getting a guy at second base to start the 10th inning, that's ridiculous. It's against these things are against everything that the game was built on, and they're to placate fans and media people. You take me back to 1990 when we played for a national championship against Alabama. And tell me what television did to that. CBS paid the NCAA $500,000. The NCAA group went around with really tight tension in the thoracic area and the rectal area. And they could not wait to get that game over with. We had pregame meal at 6:30 Saturday morning to play a 10 o'clock game.
Mm-hmm.
And without doubt, the umpires were told, liberalize the strike zone. CBS tells us that they want this over by 12:30. They've got a goat roping they've got to telecast. And it was the biggest, and we were undefeated. Alabama had lost the game. We had to play a single game at 10 o'clock in the morning on national television as the home team pre-gaming at 6:30 in the morning. What a travesty that was. Now, it may not have altered the outcome, but what a travesty. What a prostitution of cause for an NCAA committee to prostitute themselves to money. When we look at it in 1990, and it's just accelerated over the last 20 years, and everybody's trying to get a 2.5-hour entertainment block the faster we can get it. So all these things are perpetrated in order to try to keep younger fans involved, because everybody wants some instant answer to the problem. The subtleties of the game of baseball, it is a time-consuming game, and the art of it is watching the remarkable battle between the mongoose and the cobra. The mongoose is the pitcher, and he wins 2/3 of the time, and the cobra is the hitter, and he gets killed 2/3 of the time. And that is the essence of the game. Everything else is supplemental to it. And if you take from that and you don't understand that, then you're not a fan of the game. So as a result, if we're trying to placate a 25-year-old guy who's got to have a vape and a licorice stick along with his chocolate malt every 30 seconds, then he's not going to be interested in baseball. And baseball people are scared to death. They're going to miss a generation of fans. And all of this is predicated around it. Yeah, so it's not about keeping the game pure. That has nothing to do with it. The DH, man at second base, 3-pitch rule, any rule that's put in, limiting catcher trips to the mound, eliminating arguments, eliminating contact at home plate or hard slide at second base. We've pussified the game, and that's the way they want it. That's what the new generation tells us they want. A lot of excitement. The home run we can understand because every dummy can see the ball leave the yard. But the subtle 3-2 change that sinks out of the zone for the strikeout, there's not 10% of the people watching the game understand what a great pitch that was. So it's just where it is. It's today. It's America today.
What would you have done? I mean, I think I know. You're starting a guy out at second base. You weren't a guy who liked to give up and out, and you had a lot of confidence in the, I got three guys who can knock them in somehow, some way. But you see managers kind of stressed out and take different paths to getting that guy in, and a lot of times they don't get him in anyway. But what would you have done given that situation? Would you butt him over? Would you take your chances with three guys coming up and
Well,
knocking him in?
the bunt's not a great high percentage play because nobody is taught how to bunt. 9 out of 10 guys in the major leagues have lousy bunting technique. It's dangerous because they don't know how to get their body in position or the bat in position or their body to work through it to work. That's a lost art, totally. So even as a college guy, though, I felt like I could coach my hitters to use technique and what we call make a rhythm adjustment or let the ball travel a little deeper. And if I didn't have hitters that could hit the ball the opposite field when they wanted to, then I was doing a really lousy job of coaching. To watch the shifts take away so many base hits in today's game, and people can't bunt or don't know how to stay inside the ball and hit the ball the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You tighten the rhythm, you delay the stride, you increase your hip flexor load, you increase your scap load, you increase your back elbow placement, you take your knob of the ball. All those things are teachable. Taught them to kids for 35 years. We got a guy at second. We played Missouri in the Big 8 one year and had a man at second base with nobody out, 4 innings in a row. We got him over. Shelton got a ground ball to second. We scored every one of them. We led 4-0 with 2 base hits and won the game 5-2. That's how you win baseball games. But it doesn't play well because we've taught all these hitters to get up there and open their stance and get their back foot on the chalk line and get launch angle and try to elevate it. Well, that's okay if you're 6'4" and 240 and you can hit 450 blast. It's only 375, so we have more opposite field home runs. Tom, I really think about it.
Yeah, you're right.
The number of opposite field home runs hit today is extraordinary. As ballparks got smaller and the home run got more popular, LeMahieu hits a 365-foot fly ball oppo for a home run the other day to go 2-0 against Tampa Bay. They win 5-3. The Yankees were smart enough that every time we make a trade, we're going to trade to the characteristics of our home park. We play 81 games in a home park, and those characteristics, every park is measured and managed with the day's metrics, tell us exactly how many fly balls and 500 at-bats LeMahieu hit in Colorado would be out of the park in the same location in New York City. We have so much information. It's remarkable how much information we have, and we can't use it. And a hitter can't execute against the shift, then you can't expect a right-hander hitter to get a guy over from second base. He doesn't have bunting skills, so you just let him swing the bat. No. At the college level, Ocasio or Shelton or Gorman or whomever it was would get the ball over. They're left-handed hitter with a man at second base. Nobody has ever taught it. You cheat your feet. You move toward the plate. You take the outside corner of the plate and you make it the middle of the plate. And then you're dead pull. You're dead red. I'm looking P zone. I've got the outside corner with my feet adjustment, and I'm going to turn on everything and try to tear the first baseman's head off. If I don't get something to roll over, I'm going to get the guy to third. That's teachable, but it's not done. I haven't seen a left-handed hitter make a foot adjustment since Keith Hernandez 20 years ago, who did it repeatedly. Is reason he's one of the great hitters. Take a look at this Lewis. Is it Lewis with Seattle?
Yes.
Yeah, leading the league.
Uh-huh.
That is a fundamentally sound hitter. He is really fundamentally sound. He's balanced. His legs work. His hands work. He can manipulate the bat. He has educated hands. He has enough control of the bat that he has some range of motion in the last 6 inches of the swing, and he's setting the league on fire. And we're seeing guys that can do that. Well, if every guy that comes to the plate is going to be Luke Voigt, then you're going to let Luke Voigt swing the bat, and you're going to let him do what he does. And at the end of the year, if he hits 25, 30 home runs, he's going to make $15 million a year, and he's going to hit the 3-0 pitch. You're not going to take a pitch. You're going to go to the ninth inning and you're down 2, guy's going to go out there and he's not going to take a strike. He's going to swing at the first pitch. He's going to take care of him. It's become an individual game for individual guys to put up their stats and make their money. Simple as that.
I'd be remiss if we didn't cover this. If it's not 100%, it's pretty close. Maybe 95% of the move has been made from Reynolds Stadium to O'Brate. I don't know if you've had the liberty of taking a tour of O'Brate yet, but at the same time, I was saying this before we went on the air. I don't know what it's going to happen in the area where Reynolds Stadium is. For a lot of us, we spent a lot of time there, and I was recounting when you and Holiday basically had to go out and raise the money brick by brick to get that thing built back in the day. What are your feelings now that the move is just about it? I mean, they're about to open the doors for everybody.
Yeah, I'm thrilled for Oklahoma State University that they can have the ability to build such a remarkable baseball facility on campus. I am obviously sad in Reynolds Stadium. There are 20 years of ghosts there and memories, and that's where you can spread my ashes. And if they need a parking garage, they're going to go on. The world's going to move on in college athletics. I'm not going to ask this, but I really like the idea of it being there because the ghosts have a place to stay at night. And when they blow it up and make it a parking garage, I don't know where the ghosts are going to go. They're going to create havoc someplace else, I guess. So I'm saddened by it. I'm elated for Josh and Rob. I think they're two outstanding guys working their tail off, great Oklahoma State guys, and I wish them well. But they're a part of me will go with Reynolds Stadium, and a part of the history of our of who we are at Oklahoma State will be lost forever. And I'm saddened by that. But that's tomorrow, and tomorrow is for other people.
It's crazy how history does repeat itself. I didn't meet that many people who said, "Oh man, I'm going to miss University Park," when you and Holiday walked out there and said, "What in the world are we getting into here?" But there was a bit of nostalgia for that park, but it went away in a hurry when Reynolds Stadium was built. And I know how hard you guys worked to get that thing done.
Yeah. Those are stories that cannot be told or no longer of interest to anybody. But we had to cut our own warning track. You had to go find your side cutter, and you had to find your side. You had to find your rock. I remember taking a chainsaw up there and cutting up a bunch of those wooden bleachers because they were splintered so bad you couldn't sit down in them. And we tried to eliminate some. They were too old and battered to paint. The hitting cage was something somebody had welded together with chicken wire. You ruined more baseballs in 3 days trying to take BP in the chicken wire cage. And I remember going over to Floyd Gas and saying, "Coach, we can't have a program." When I came here and I took the job, and then I went down to the stadium, you could have pastured 2 cows, 3 cows on that place. It was abysmal. The equipment and the surrounding facility is abysmal for fans. The press box is a plywood box. I said, we'll work at it. Don't worry about it. And at some point in the future, I'll find a way to build a stadium. We give them a product, the people will come. We'll get a stadium built. That was never a question. But the work we had to do just to get that, we didn't have water. We had to get a main put in from the street to the ballpark over by third base in order to get a fire hose so we could put water on the infield or water the grass.
Or get a drink.
or get a drink, or take a shower, or do anything. And I was blessed with some young guys that had been with me in the past, and a guy that's not known to a lot of people, Steve Blair, came with me the second year as my manager. I had to take his collie dog in order to get him to come. Tom and Dave Holliday, Jim Schwanke, Wade Robertson, so many people came that were just absolutely warriors and workers. And we worked for 3 years, just getting the program some credibility. And you felt like that there were so many things happening in the area, Tom, at the time with the new Johnson Stadium at Oral Roberts and what Norm was doing at Arkansas with all the money coming out of Walmart. They were building a great super facility at the University of Arkansas a decade before we even thought about it. And Wichita State had decided to have a program, and they had no football. They had no gender equity problems, and you knew Gene Stevenson would build something special in Wichita because Wichita might be the best baseball town in mid-America. So the odds, when I look back on it, and we don't talk about it anymore, but when I look back on it, the odds of achieving what was achieved was astounding. And it was based on the people I had around me, the young men that came and worked endless hours with me on a day-to-day basis, whether it be recruiting. Had they not been so good, I would not have had the time to go out and make the fundraising contacts and talk to posse clubs around every place I'd go. I just told Floyd, when you need somebody to speak, call me. I'll be there at 6:30. Get on the plane, take me wherever you want to go. I'm in Woodward one night. I got 4 people there. It's kind of a winter night, and I think Wadley and I went, and we were talking. You know, as an old farm guy, when you go to feed the cows and the weather's bad, you got a load of hay. But if there's only 4 show up, you don't give them the whole load. But yet, Wadley and I spoke for an hour to 4 people, and one of them was Bruce Benbook, who was a bank president in Woodward.
That's right. Yes.
So
yes.
every time we went out and spoke, whether it's Perry or Ponca City or Fort Smith, Arkansas, or Bartlesville, Oklahoma, we made a friend. We talked the program. We talked to them just as we're talking to our people this afternoon, and said, "Here's what we're going to do. If you can buy a season ticket, which didn't exist at that time, we were dealing with $15, $100 a pop in order to buy a wheelbarrow or a fire hose or a backstop or something." And when I told Floyd Gass it's going to cost him $4,000 for a new major league hitting cage, I thought he was going to absolutely pass out. Our budget was $80,000 when I walked in here. $80,000. My salary was $18,500. Holiday was making $4,000. He left 19 years later, never made over $35,000. People don't have any idea how what a role that Tom and Dave Holiday and Jim Swalke and Wade Robertson and so many others played in giving their 60 or 70 hours a week and absolutely pouring their life into that program. And that's what's left at Reynolds Stadium. And now we have coaching staffs making $1 million plus. We got a $70 million stadium. You feel like you're a part of that. You set the wheels in motion that created that to a degree, and there's a great sense of pride in both what Reynolds did for us and Allie and his benevolence, what O'Brates have done for us, what the university now has as a showcase facility that may be the best college facility in the country. We all have to celebrate those kind of things, and don't forget the past, value it, and remember that there were a whole bunch of people went before O'Brate, and these young men are running the program today are going to do their very best to keep Cowboy baseball alive and maintain contact with all those contributors. When we had our first alumni deal, we had Ray Bond come back, and about 107 guys showed up. The Sorgles, you couldn't name them all. And Bonds and Cowboy boots catching in the inter-squad game that night. And I met so many really wonderful people that had played here, Joel Horland, and et cetera. And what we did is we connected everything that had happened prior to 1969 with Toby and Chet through the players, and we connected them through the Gary Ward era. And that's what I think Josh and Rob are doing. I think they'll really work hard to connect every former Cowboy player who's played and made a contribution with his talent and sweat and tears. And I think all of us will be proud of the result. And I'm anxious to see the opener at O'Brate, and I'm anxious to see OSU Cowboy baseball get back to the College World Series.
I'd be remiss if I didn't end it with this. Happy birthday! You got a birthday coming up in a week. Number one. And
Yeah,
are you still doing
I'm only going to be 80, and I told my mom when I was about 60 and life looked really long and hard that I'd just sign a contract with God and the devil. At 70, I'd just check out. So I'm 10 years out there on somebody else's money already, right?
And you're
So I don't know.
are you
I don't
still
know. You
working?
better check in with.
You're still working the farm. I mean, you want to make that
Oh,
pitch.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I got 5 acres. I got a 5,000 square foot garden. I raised 1,000 tomatoes, okra. I brought Kathy back here in 2012. Her health was really bad. I'm a caregiver for my lovely bride of 60 plus years. I work outside 4 or 5 hours a day. I enjoy it. It keeps me in good shape. I can't reconnect as a fan because that's too painful. I can't go sit at a baseball game as a spectator because I lived for 45 years in the dugout, and I think that away, and that's dangerous.
Yes.
I want to yell at the umpire, and so I've just chosen to be a quiet, retired supporter and love what the guys are doing there and wish them the very best.
Hey, as an interview, yes, but as a dear friend, I appreciate you coming on. I know getting you out of the tomatoes and the cucumbers is probably not a good idea, but
I've been trying to paint today, and I've been working in the garden, shoveling some edges and ridges, getting ready to rototill, and you pretty well disrupted my afternoon. I normally take a nap about 4:30.
Well, I was hoping.
You see how high regard I hold you in, that I will do this and pass on my nap today just to talk to Tom Dirato.
I was hoping you didn't go to sleep while we were talking. That was my main goal right there. And I think,
well, I will be shortly. It'll be a short nap because I got some work to do at 6:30.
Hey, great talking to you, buddy, and we'll stay in touch. But appreciate all your insight into baseball. Always a pleasure to hook up with you.
Yeah, that's super. Just go Cowboys. Let's go get them.
All right, bud. See ya. That's Gary Ward, the one and only.